Welcome back to The Daily Edge, where we ask entrepreneurs, executives, athletes, and high performers how they find their edge. Today's guest is a returning guest, Lisa Lutoff-Perlo, fresh off her announcement of joining On the Ball as Vice Chairwoman. We dive into why she joined the team and how she developed thousands of employees under her leadership. As always, I'm your host, Marc Nudelberg. Let's find our edge. Let's find our edge. That starts with our affirmation. I take control of my agency. It signals my command, expertise, and legitimacy. It reflects earned credibility. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you,
And
Marc.
I stole your word of the year for the affirmation. Wonderful word.
Thank you.
Wonderful exercise. I'm so glad that you're practicing that exercise. And part of taking control of that agency is choosing to be vice chair of On the Ball. Welcome to the team,
Thank
Lisa.
You. All right. Thank you.
I'm very excited to announce that. I love it.
I got to make it a little smaller. Okay.
It's like National Signing Day
It
here,
is,
right?
it
And I
is,
think we signed an unbelievable member of our team. It
First
means
round draft pick, right?
1,000%. Or in college terms, it would be a 5-star blue chip.
All right.
I will tell you, I'm so excited to have your expertise. I'm so excited to have your experience and to have you help guide me through this next evolution of On the Ball. But we talked a little bit about why this was a good fit for you. Primarily, something you've done over your whole career is put at the forefront the importance of people development. You did that inside of a multi-billion-dollar organization. Can you talk a little bit about that experience in developing people and maybe some of the challenges that existed for you in doing that?
Well, listen, I spent 40 years in a great company, and throughout those 40 years, there were so many different programs we implemented across the company. Myself, as an executive, we looked at high potential executives. We got them executive coaches. We looked at high potential talent within the organization. We had a program called Building on Talent. Training and development was a big part of not only our shoreside teams' development, but also our shipboard teams, where we were trying to get leaders ready to get into management and people who hadn't led in the past. We all know how difficult it is when you promote someone too early and they're not ready for that. So I'm a big believer in the concept of helping people get better through programs that are designed for specific needs within a company and for a lot of people or individual executives. So doing this was just a natural transition for me because I've had so much great experience with it, and I know On the Ball does it so incredibly well.
Thank you for that. Talk to me a little bit about, because you kind of hit on two different things. I think executive coaching, which would have been from an outside resource. And then I think you even just talked about a program that was probably more internal in terms of your leadership development programs. Do you have a preference? If now in your experience, do you have a preference in an internally developed program or an external source coming in and administering it? Do you feel one is better than the other? No bias towards On the Ball.
Sure, no. But interestingly enough, it was all external, although some of it might have been delivered internally. So, for example, we would hire companies to develop training and development programs that could be applied across a broad group of people, like our shipboard staff, which was 20,000.
Right.
So it would be pretty impossible to for us to bring in a company that could train 20,000 different people at any given period of time. So our training and development managers that we had on ships would deliver the programs, but the programs were developed externally. Sort of like what we do here at On the Ball.
Yeah.
I say we now because I'm part of the team.
I love that.
And then but everything else was external. So our Building on Talent program was done externally with a major university in the country. Our executive coaching was done externally through some big firms that you do that as part of what they offer companies.
Sure.
So we were out buying this from a lot of different people and for different applications and for different people and for different programs.
So, for me, even being a coach, when I started coaching in 2005 versus the tools that were available to me in 2015 was astronomically different, right?
Right.
You having 40 years?
Yeah, 40 years.
Right? Well, I mean, to think that those programs started as paper and pencil and very time and in-person intensive to what we do now, which is video on demand teaching,
right.
virtual group learning,
Right.
sporadic in-persons and things like that. Do you have a program or something that you guys did in your past that you were like, this was the best thing we ever did, and if I could replicate it 100 times, I would?
It was the virtual training, especially for the shipboard staff, because that's exactly what we did. We developed programs and we executed them online,
Yep.
and the crew was able to take them. It was mandatory.
Yeah.
And they could take it, though, on their own time because all their schedules were so different, and it was available, and they had their own laptops and computers in their rooms. We also had computer centers where it was available to them. So
Yeah.
that was, I think, the best thing that we were able to do based on the evolution of how you train. And it made our ability to train our teams on, from leadership to, how to do offer better customer service.
Yeah.
For our onboard revenue managers to how to sell more on board
Right.
to our guests.
Right.
It ran the gamut of how we would train, and it was really it was game changing for us.
And I know that it's a core pillar of yours
Yes.
in, what made it successful. Where did that come from for you? Where did that belief in training and development, where did that, hey, this has to be a priority for me, come from?
Because I did it myself, and there's nothing better than that, right? Because I am a lifelong learner. I continue to learn. I had so many different opportunities within our company where I was put in charge of things that were very new to me. And so the ability to learn, the ability to be coached by different people and mentored by different people was a critical component of me being able to be successful. And the other thing is, I was a leader who truly wanted the people that worked with me and for me to achieve their potential.
Right.
And the best way to do that was to enable them to learn and make themselves better and improve their knowledge and experience every single day so that they felt more confident and were doing a better job.
So you created great teaching material, right? We have Lisa Lutoff-Perlo's Leadership Academy.
Yes.
And it's, virtual, self-led, not self-taught, on demand. But that's not coaching. That's teaching.
Right.
I think you're a really good coach because I hear you talk about the way you've worked with people and what you've done. How did you become a good coach?
I became a good coach because I care about people and I care about their success. And I learned when I was in all the different leadership roles that I have, I was coaching every day. I was coaching every interaction. There's structured coaching, which, we're all a part of, right?
Sure.
And that's what we do here at On the Ball, and that's what other companies do. However, as leaders, we're coaching every single day, not only by what we tell people or advise people or are able to add value to the jobs that people do, but even how we conduct ourselves.
Right.
And what we do and the decisions we make. Every moment that we are a leader is a coaching moment. And so I'm a huge believer in coaching, and I took it really seriously. And I held myself to an incredibly high standard, and I continue to do that. And so when people look at me and look at what I've accomplished or look what I'm doing, whether it was becoming CEO and leading 20,000 people or running a really profitable brand that was financially transformed under my leadership, or whether people ask me, how do I get on boards? I've seen you get on boards. Or how did you manage your transition from corporate CEO to your second wave that I call it now, and what I'm doing, including, being vice chair of On the Ball. I'm number one honored that people ask me, and number two, it's natural. It comes naturally to me to try to help people and help them be successful in whatever phase of their life or career they're in.
So I know that big Tom Brady fan, right? Forever.
Yeah.
And
Forever.
I'm assuming that means you're a Bill Belichick fan as well. No, not.
No.
Are there any sports coaches that you ever looked to that were good models for you as you started to as you continued to develop your leadership?
Well, actually, I like Mike Vrabel.
Yeah?
I love Mike Vrabel. He's like a coach's coach. You know, when oh my gosh, I can't remember who was running down the field on that punt return, and he ran all the way down the field with him when he stands there and high fives every player that comes in. And I know there are other coaches that are probably really good, but
Sure.
I love coaches. I love players' coaches.
Yeah.
You know, Bill Belichick wasn't a players' coach. And, you know, I never forgave him for letting Tom Brady go and actually making it impossible for Tom Brady to stay. And you know what? Karma's a bitch. And chapter 8 in my Making Waves is all about the boomerang, and you get what you give, and, you know, you let the goat go, and you have 5 losing seasons. And, you know,
he's
a joke now. He's a caricature of himself. So we won't even talk about that. But I love Mike Vrabel. You know, he's a tough coach. You know, he says, you know, he takes no prisoners. He suffers no fools. But I'll tell you, but he loves those players, and they love him. And that's how I tried to coach. I was a players coach, held them to a very high standard. We got to win. But you know what? I care about you, and I want you to care about me. And so those are the coaches I love.
How do you think, what's the proper way for people to manage that? Because I actually, so I had somebody on this show, a very successful volleyball coach, who actually reached out to me last night.
Okay.
Because she's having a issue with a very talented player on the team that she's got to make a choice. Do I give them a lifeline, even though nothing that they have done has really earned that lifeline, but they're very talented and they could help? And so we had this whole conversation, and it's really hard, I think it's really hard as a leader to separate the relationship sometimes from the accountability and the high standard and consequences. How did you do that, or what's your philosophy behind doing that?
So there's different types of accountability, right? You know, some people are really good at what they do, but really they don't really have the right culture, moral compass, integrity. They don't lead the right way. That's really important to you. If you've already given a player or a person a lifeline and they understand the accountability and expectations, you kind of have to make the decision that is going to reflect the right way on you as a coach and what you value and the culture you're trying to create. And sometimes that means letting a really talented player go or not coach them anymore, or whatever that particular situation is, even though it's really, really, really hard. I remember having to make those types of decisions in my career. They were extraordinarily painful. They were like a gut punch. But I knew if I didn't make the decision that people were watching me and waiting for me to make, I was going to lose all credibility, and I was going to really hurt our culture. And I couldn't risk that. For me, culture and integrity is everything. And I'll go find someone else that could be a really good cook or a captain or a volleyball player, honestly, because there are so many people looking for a chance. You as a coach have to decide what's the most important, and at the end of the day, that's what you got to stick with.
That's it's very difficult to do.
I know.
And I think when you're looking at, well, this is a really talented player, and it creates a hole that maybe we can't afford to have right now. Because it's one thing to have the backup in there ready. You know what I mean? Like, well, there's somebody who's maybe not as good, but we can get him in there. But when it creates a hole and a void that you're like, who's going to step in and do that? If they don't do that, it makes it exponentially harder. But I loved what you said. Everybody's watching. Whether you know it or not, or whether you believe it or not, the rest of the team is watching what you're going to do with that person. And as soon as you make an exception for that person, we're toast.
Right.
Pause for once.
Yep.
I don't know if it was my headphones or what. Go. Do it again.
Sound check.
It might be my headphones. Sorry.
All good.
Because it did like a robot sort of thing, and I was like,
Cut
that's
out.
weird.
Yeah.
So just give me 1 second.
All good. Very good conversation so far.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sorry to. Wanted you guys to keep going.
It's good, Shay?
Do it again.
Sound? I say.
Yeah.
Good?
It's back. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just
Awesome.
making sure because I don't want that to mess up.
No.
If it's just the headphones, then I'm fine. But
Okay.
I just didn't want that to. Okay.
So, yeah. And I remember vividly
Well, I was going to ask you, is there one scenario of all the times that you had to do it, because I know it was more than once, that really sticks out to you as the hardest one you had to make?
I wish there were one. There were a few. But yeah, there was one. And, sometimes people leave you no choice. And I remember making the right decision and doing what I had to do. And I remember being angry about it because this was a senior leader who clearly knew what the rules of engagement were.
Right.
Clearly.
Right.
And at certain levels in our company, you were responsible for ensuring that those rules of engagement trickle down.
Sure.
Whether it was a captain down to the cleaner or an SVP that worked for me down to the lowest person in their department. And so I'm thinking to myself, all this time you've made me think you understood and were living by the rules of engagement. And yeah, you do a really great job and this is going to create a really big hole for me, but I have no choice. You've left me no choice because now my integrity is on the line.
Right.
And I just couldn't let that happen. And the culture was, on the line. And it was, I'm giving you one example, but I have, I probably have a handful of examples where those were really, really hard decisions. I've had decisions where I've sat around the table with 5 or 6 of us, and I've asked everyone for their input on their thoughts. And they would share with me what the downside of making that decision was. And then, my question was, well, what's the downside for the culture and what kind of a message am I sending if I don't do this? And then the decision's easy.
And it's sort of counterintuitive because we're being measured on our results.
Yes.
But you feel like you're making a decision against the results.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is going to hurt our results.
Right.
But, and I'm making a decision based on like the soft part, the culture, the feeling or the team camaraderie or whatever. But it's actually the thing that then allows you to propel the performance because the team is structured, is valued, is foundationally the right way, which is counterintuitive.
But what I learned when I had to make those decisions is that, number one, I gained a tremendous amount of respect. But number two, people rallied because they knew I made the right decision and they were going to help fill that gap as best they could until we were back.
Right.
And I love that because, sometimes the tough times bring out the best in people.
Yeah.
And when you make a decision like that as a leader, people rally around you.
Right.
And they know you've made a decision that might hurt the operation or might hurt the business in the short term.
Yep.
But you made the best decision for the long term, and they plug in. You've got enough people that know enough that can keep it all going in a really positive way if you've done your job the right way.
And so just my last question to you, okay, because I think it's important for us to make this point is, do you think you could have had the success you had without the training and development and focus on that the way you did during your time there?
No, I don't. And I'm being honest about that. I know we're sitting here having a conversation about On the Ball, and that's what we do. And I'm vice chair now. But honestly, I know that all of the things that I participated in made me a better leader, made me a better person, made me think differently, made me see different things that I might not have seen before, taught me skills that I might have had but maybe were dormant, or taught me to emphasize them more, and also helped me think about what I needed to do differently to get where I wanted to go. And, if we all think about that, that's kind of a really important outcome.
And so for a business leader, maybe they're a large executive, maybe they're an entrepreneur of a small business, is there a certain percentage of the P&L? Is there is there a magical number that you said, hey, we're protecting this for training and development because we know it's a focus that we have to deliver? Or was it based on something else? How did you make that decision on what you were willing to spend on that?
Well, you always have to think about what are we willing to spend.
Right.
but there was never a question that we needed to spend.
Got it.
And it really depended on the year that you were having in
Sure.
different situations. And of course, when times are good, there's a little more money available. When
Yep.
times are not so good, there isn't. But at the end of the day, it was never a question that we would or wouldn't do it.
It was never zero.
No, never zero. And I
Yeah.
think that's the most important point. And every company is different and their resources are different, but it was never a question that we needed it or we were going to do it.
Beautiful. Welcome to the team.
Thank you. It's an honor to be part of the team.
No, it's really an honor to have you. I'm so excited for the work that we're going to do together. It means the world to me that you said yes to joining our team and being a part of our board. And thank you for joining the show again
Well,
and
my
having this
pleasure.
wonderful conversation. If people want some help from Lisa or they want to know about this board seat, should they just get in touch with On the Ball?
No, they should call you. Email Mark. And
Get in touch with me.
I just want to say before we close, if we have another second or two.
Yeah, of course.
You know, my word of the year is agency.
Yeah.
I haven't been public with the word, but the word is very important to me.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I was a CEO for a very long time, and you know, I've thought about my second wave and what I'm doing next. And this year is all about agency, which is choosing to sit at the tables where the conversation matters and I can make the most impact, and being selective about that, and choosing what
Yeah.
I do and where I show up. And it was a really easy decision to choose to be part of the On the Ball team. And
you
I'm
for
really
choosing.
looking forward to all the great things we're going to do together.
Thank you for choosing. Thank you for joining the show again. Let's find our edge. Let's go.